we'll be using our prayer book, right? You remember the prayer book. And we'll be using also a handout. So we'll go in between two, and I will announce which is the handout and which is a prayer book. We continue with our handout as we read together. We come together this Shabbat, each bringing a private word of hopes, of fears, of dreams. Some of us are burdened by anxieties and cares. Beneath our influence, we are all bound together by our common humanity. All of us most deeply yearn for the blessings of freedom and peace. Each of us seeks the person. Our synagogue is a stronghold of hope and inspiration, teaching us the holiness of life and inspiring in us a love for all humanity. In this moment, in the presence of sacred with the Herli Beinu, of the Be'emet, may our hearts be purified to worship together in sincerity and truth. We turn to page 121 in our prayer books. As I call Lauren Lieberman and John Diggory to light the candles. And John, you lead us in Kiddush as well.
As in Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu b'chagim shel Shabbat.
Thank you. And together we join in the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. I invite you to rise for Kiddush on page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hadafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kadsha b'ahava u'b'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron Thank you, Lauren and John. Thank you. Please be seated. We turn to our handout on the bottom of the first page, and we read together, "Help me perfect my ways of loving and caring. Inspire me to make myself whole so that And in our prayer books on page 124, we read together, "May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May welcome all their cares to unburden, thanks to express close nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straight feet. May it be too high to remain the place of streets of selfishness and conscience. May this synagogue be for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life." On page 128, please join me in singing of Maya Fe Hayom. 128. Maya Fe Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Maya Fe Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Maya Fe Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Maya Fe Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Together on page 130. "Come, let us sing joyfully to Adonai. Rise a shout for our rock and deliverer. Let us come into God's presence with praise. Let us raise and shout for God in song. For Adonai is great God, the great ruler of all divine beings." Continue with L'chad Adi on page 138. There are 22 million prescriptions for meet the people. And as is our custom, we rise on last verse and we welcome Shabbat bride. The custom comes from Tzfat, Israel, where Kabbalists would go in the fields to meet Shabbat, to greet Shabbat. They would wear white clothes, and they wanted to be the first to greet Shabbat. Please join me. L'chad Adi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekavela. L'chad Adi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekavela. Shamor bezachor bedibur echad, yishmiyana el hamiyachat. Adonai echad, Shemo echad, Shem litziferet velitkila. L'chad Adi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekavela. L'chad Adi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekavela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor habracha, merosh mikerem lesucha, soma se b'machshavat hila. L'chad Adi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekavela. L'chad Adi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekavela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki v'or komi ori, uri, uri, shir daberi, kivot Adonai seated. On page 145, on the bottom, together, entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of acts, even in unlikely times and through unlikely places, there is no place on earth. And Hatzikadesh on page 144. Yitkadal v'yitkadash merabah Be'amadi berachirotei be'amlich machotei B'chayechanu v'yamechon U'chayedecho b'et Israel Bagala bagala U'bizman karib v'iberu Yehesh merabah me'orach V'holam ulal me'almaya Yitbarach Yitbarach v'yishtabach V'yitpar v'yitroma v'yitnaseh V'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal Shmid k'rivshan Leila min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Kaniran be'alma V'imeru. We rise for the call to worship for Baruch Hu on page 146. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed. We turn to our handout on page 2, Twilight People. Let's read together. As sun sinks and colors of the day turn, we offer a blessing for twilight is not, but in between. And continue to Ahavat Olam. You have loved the people Israel with never-ending love. You have given us your truth. Your Torah acts. And please be seated. Join me with V'ahavta on page 154. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol miodecha v'hayu advarim ha'el בך וקומך, ושרתם לאות ידיך. וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. And back to our handout, the crossing together. God did not lead us by the near way when Pharaoh led people. God has led us by the near way. We tried, we wouldn't die here. Pray to our own to bless our God, who did not lead us by a near way. Please join me with Michamocha on page 158. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Bless one, you spread over a canopy of peace, a shelter of shalom of all Israel, your people, and over Jerusalem. Let's turn to our handout. We read the reading by Andrew Rammer. Together, our people came out of Egypt in mixed altitude. The spray of dividing borders sparkled diamonds all around them. We stood together at Sinai. We have wandered, bleak landscapes, built hills, tents. We have planted orchards and vineyards, seen two temples rise and then go down in searching plains, forcing us into exile. We have loved and lost, grieved and danced, transgressed and celebrated, hidden and suffered, cried. And we gather today in the community of our people, multitude, and we sign out. Hear Israel, we stand together. All of us, descendants of the single first human created on the sixth day, and of our myriad parents down through the generations, to numerous name. We stand together, link arms, continue with Yismechu on page 162. Please join me. We reach the center of our prayer, tefillah. I invite you to rise on page 164. 164.
Adonai sefer tiftachu fi tehillatcha. Adonai, open up my lips, let my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elokei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, El Gadol HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Kaneh HaKol, V'Zocher Hasdei Avot v'Imachot, Mevi Geulah Livnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mehayeh hakol Raf lehoshia, Morit chatal, Mehalkel hayim b'chesed, Mehayeh hakol berachamim. הקדשים בכל יום יהללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. And please be seated. Back on our handout, on page 4, we read together Kedusha, holiness. There is holiness when we strive to be the best we know. There is holiness when we are kind to someone who could possibly be of service to us. There is holiness when we promote family harmony. There is holiness when we forget what guides us and remember what connects us. There is holiness when we are willing to be left after what we believe in. There is holiness when we love truly, honestly, and unselfishly. There is holiness when we remember the lonely and to cheer into the dark corner. There is holiness when we share our bread, our ideas, and our enthusiasm. There is holiness when we gather to pray. On page 172, on the bottom, together, our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest, sanctify us with your mitzvot, and grant us Shin your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai God, grant us our heritage, your holy Shabbat, that Israel sanctify your name and the rest of it. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shechinato leTzion. Blessed are you, whose divine presence is felt again in Zion. On page 175, together, ever present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored. You are God, whom alone we serve and accept. Baruch atah Adonai, she'elcha levadcha ve'ira na'avot. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha l'chana ele hodot. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose goodness deserves thanks and praise. We turn to Shalom Rav on page 178. And please join me. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki ata melech adon lehol hashalom. Ki ata melech adon lehol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה לשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Amen.
We take a few moments for silent reflection. Shalom bimrama, uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimeru amen. Aseh shalom bimrama, uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimeru amen. Aseh shalom bimrama, uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimeru amen. Aseh shalom bimrama, uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimeru amen. V'yimeru At this moment of the service, we turn to prayers for healing. We pray for people who are in need of healing, healing of body and healing of spirit. And as my eyes meet your eyes, please say the name of the person who's in need of healing. And those who are joining us on Zoom, you can unmute yourself and say the name of the person who's in need of healing, or you can put in the chat.
Casey Zachman, Lois Coleman, The Black,
Peter East, Mitchell,
We also pray for people who are in need of healing in our community. Shana S. Bartruchel, Chaya Necha Batri Valea, Katriel Pirachia Ben Herschel Azar Shoshana, Sarah Bat Abraham Besara, Alan Skirker, Laura Braun, Miriam Bat Ella, Stephen Brandt, Rini Feingold, Meredith Cabanas Eider, Irvin Menes, Masha Batsheva, Greg Novoženec, Susan Sultan Tobias, Kim Stenger de Lizzle, Gabriel Berger, Hank Farioli, Nancy Cohen, Lynn Fragin, Stephen Loeb, Tammy Hansen, Brian Mansfield, Dean Harris, Abigail Herman, Michael Shartok, Alma Kubi, Joel Stein, Charlie Cantor, Julia Cavana, Pat Connor. We turn our hearts to people who are in need of healing, and we put all the names to our heart, and we join together in singing of "O Guide My Steps." You may find this on your handout, and please join me. Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps, and help me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Well, tonight we are so fortunate. We have a speaker that we welcome the Shabbat, the special Shabbat Pride, John Williams. We'll just introduce you for a few moments, and then you can add whatever I missed. So John Williams is a retiree from the former Lawyer Cooperative Publishing Company. He went on to be director of development of literacy volunteers and also Image Out. John is involved in many philanthropic organizations in Rochester and is a founding member of LGBT plus Giving Circle of the Rochester Area Community Foundation. You also may have had the pleasure of hearing John play piano in social events in the greater Rochester area. So that's exciting. So I invite you on a bima to share your words of wisdom with us, and please add anything about yourself that you want people to know.
Shabbat Shalom. I thank you for allowing me to speak here this evening. I salute the ecumenical outreach of this congregation. Tonight you are having me, a gay Presbyterian and a recovering Southern Baptist, as your guest speaker. One of the great things about Greater Rochester is its interfaith spirit and activism. The Temple Sinai community understands that through cooperation across the denominations, we can achieve more regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion. And one special word of thanks. I have been attending Temple Sinai's Pride Shabbat for several years. On many occasions, I sat alongside my now deceased husband, Chuck Lundeen, at these services. We were here at the invitation of the Schwartz family. Al Schwartz basically taught me my job as an attorney at the publishing firm once known as Lawyers Cooperative Publishing Company. Judy Schwartz has been a role model for me with her fervent community engagement and for putting in the work that is necessary to accomplish change. I have known 4 generations of the Schwartz family. It is sometimes said, lovingly, that I learned about being Jewish from the Schwartz family and that they learned about being gay from me. When I came to Rochester in 1976, I found myself in a community that was actively engaged in the discussion of LGBT rights. The firm where I worked provided rights for domestic partners and had an LGBT employee group. That sense of pride was welcoming to a guy who had moved here from Florida. I know, I got it all backwards. People move from Rochester to Florida, not from Florida to Rochester, right? Let's look at the word pride. Dictionaries have many definitions of the word pride. The one that I like the best is consciousness of one's own dignity. Isn't that what it's all about? Living one's life authentically, being who you are and not having to hide that identity. I am so pleased that I have been able to do this in my daily life. Many of the pride reference points involve my 32 years with my husband. We made our partnership official by getting married. In our philanthropic giving, we always gave jointly, listing both of our names. In introducing ourselves to others, we said, "my husband," rather than using some ambiguous phrase. Whenever I think about pride, I think about a quote from the gay activist Harvey Milk. Here's that quote: "Every gay person must come out. As difficult as it is, you must tell your immediate family. You must tell your relatives. You must tell your friends, if indeed they are your friends. You must tell the people you work with. You must tell the people in the stores you shop in. Once they realize that we are indeed their children, that we are indeed everywhere, every myth, every lie, every innuendo will be destroyed once and for all. And once you do, you will feel so much better." That quote says so much, and I particularly agree with the last part. Once you do come out, you do feel so much better. And remember this, coming out is a lifelong process. I believe that we are born with a sense of pride, something given to us by our Creator. What a joy it is to be able to fully acknowledge and live out that pride as we grow and mature. So, be proud of who you are and what you do, and your life will be a mitzvah. And you can proudly sing, as I have at many a Passover Seder meal, Dayenu. It would have been sufficient. Thank you.
Well, thank you, John, for inspiring message, and thank you, Judy Schwartz, for inviting John Williams to our Pride Shabbat. We turn to page 586. It's 586. As we rise for Aleinu. Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כהורצות, ולא שמענק משפט האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו גאון חמנם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר בחיי אדוני למלך הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. And we turn to our handout and we read together. Our God, remember today our LGBT siblings who were murdered in the year past, those murdered in the Middle Ages, those who perished in the Holocaust. The sacrifice of these murders must bring an end to hate. Our thoughts, the Shabbat, turn to loved ones whom death has taken from us in recent days, and those who died in the season in years past. Our hearts open as well to the widest circles of loss in our community and wherever grief touches the human family. Zichrona livracha, may the memory be a blessing. We remember those who died in recent days: Ralph Bookbinder, brother-in-law of Alan Skirker, Sandra Ribb, mother of Deb Ribb, Margie Taylor, sister of Bess Lewis, Ruth Lessin, cousin of Liz Steinberg, Mildred Lavera, aunt of Carla Greenfield. And tonight, Yortzites, we remember loved ones: Alan Baker, Alfred Barkin, Milton Battler, Edward Berman, Esther Blomoff, Robert Brandze, Robert Brandt, Rabbi Gerald Brieger, Paul Cherkasky, Leonard Cohen, Frank DeMaio, Ora Diamond, Francis Erne, Pauline Fletcher, Shirley Greenspan, Bertram Kiner, Elliot Coleman, Max Krull, Lawrence Lapidus, Erwin Levy, Hyman Leeson, Phyllis Leeson, Elkan Monter, Hans Nathan, Hyman Perlman, Freda Pincus, Dorothy Rudman, Ralph Rose, Ephraim Shear, Hortense Schoenfeld, Bernard Schuster, Anita Spector, Alice Weingart, Norman Weiner, Dorothy Younker. Please say the name of the person that you observe in your site, if I have not mentioned. And those who are on Zoom, I would like you to put in the chat the name of your beloved that you observe in your site. We turn to page 598. It's 598 as we recite Mones Kaddish. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי והמליך מלכותי, והיהון וביום ההון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. ובעולם בזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עולמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, יתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקדושה בריחו. אלא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יש לה מערה במין שמיה,
וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל. ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל. May the source of peace bestow peace to all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved. And together we say, Amen. And please be seated. We thank you, Marie Pellet, to be our board greeter. Thank you again, John Williams, for a beautiful message. July 21st, Wednesday, we have Live Legacy Team Meeting. July 22nd, Religious Practice Committee meeting. Board of Trustees is also on July 22nd, 7:30, a busy night. Next Friday night is July 23rd, Erev Shabbat service at 6 p.m. We also have, actually, maybe children will be interested, also Red Wings game on Sunday, August 1st, at 1:05 at Frontier Field. I don't know what that means. Tickets are $14 each, and may be paid in advance by Friday, July 23rd. So if you want to go to the game, just call the front office, and you'll buy tickets to go to Red Wings game, which is on Sunday, August 1st. Well, thanks, Lori Diggory, right? Thank you. Any other announcements? Anything? Okay. Well, let's invite anybody who is under the age of 10. Jacob, you've been so good. Okay, so I will pass the challah, right? I'm going to use napkins. And you'll say the blessing. Okay, ready? Where are you? You stand so everybody can see you. Baruch. Well, I chose the song Ani Ve'ata. I think it's very appropriate. On page 652. It's on page 652. You and I will change the world, you and I. Then all will join us. You and I will start from the beginning. It may be difficult, but it doesn't matter. This is the Israeli song, and it became very popular, and it translated in many languages. I don't know in Russian, but we'll sing in Hebrew. Page 652, please join me. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, and it's so good to have you all back in the sanctuary. Sheheyanu moment for many of you. This is the first